Masai Ujiri and Jakob Pertl might have told us that this is a rebuilding year, but if everything goes right for the Toronto Raptors this season, is this not a potential play-in team?
No. You should believe them. If they tell you it's a rebuild, if they're saying it's a rebuild, like that kind of rhetoric has been said like very rarely.
I don't think Masai's ever said it. I think that's the first time he said it. Yeah.
Have you seen the bottom of the East?
It's bad.
Have you seen it?
It's bad. It's bad. I think so. Okay, maybe the no off the top was a little much, but if they're telling you it's a rebuild, I think you should believe that. And this year's draft is super, super good. There's a lot of high-end talent on the come up. I would prefer for them to rebuild, but we know that the win total number is actually going the other way.
Oh, yeah.
It was at 29.5. Now it's at 30.5. Like that, I think Vegas thinks something. I think we know.
Our friends at FanDuel saw Grady Dick lights out in preseason against the Celtics, and they boosted that lineup.
Look, I think it's the talent might just be too good, but the direction the team should be taking.
Yes.
Okay, there's a short-term versus a long-term discussion to be had here. If you're talking about championship being the goal, the Raptors said the right thing on media day. Mm-hmm. That being said, these guys are really good basketball players. We've seen it in the preseason. They're talented enough to carry themselves into the play-in. But Masai's also said in the past, play-in for what?
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. On paper, they seem like a better team than 30 wins. I think they could be like a 35 type of win
if
team.
everything goes right.
Yeah, if everything goes right.
All that.
Now, does Masai pull the plug on them in the springtime to boost that draft equity a little bit? It's very possible.
This is Basketball Island. We are back for season 2. Thank you, FanDuel, our sponsor. Hey, FanDuel. Look at the sign. It lights up. Fired up.
Deja vu. Yeah.
Hein, Hambone, Wes, Fab. And here's my question, fundamentally, when looking at this Raps team.
No.
You said, bigger picture, to win a championship, it's better to bottom out and to rebuild. But isn't it also better? You have these 3 core dudes in Quickley, in Scottie Barnes, and RJ Barrett. Isn't it better to see the requisite growth from them this year in terms of your long-term prospects than bottoming out?
You can do both.
You can do both. I think you can do both. I think what they did last year, obviously injuries helped them make that decision last year when they decided to kind of just pull the chute, lose 19 of the last 21, and then you put yourself in a position to draft. But we want to redo that whole thing. They lost their draft pick. But I think to me, you're talking yourself into that being a really good core. I'm not there yet. I think they are talented players, Scottie Barnes especially. I like Grady Dick. I like Quickley. I like what he offers up, but we haven't seen anything yet. RJ had a really good stretch for the Raptors last year.
And the flash in that first preseason game before he got hurt. He looked real good.
And hopefully he's healthy for the regular season. I still think they need another guy. And this draft is primed to try and find that other dude to attach to Scottie and Quickley and be a championship contender going forward.
Well, look at the 2 darlings of the NBA right now. You have the Boston Celtics, the Oklahoma City Thunder. Mm-hmm. They're both revered for how they built from within to get to where they are. They traded assets once they accumulated everything. The Raptors are nowhere close in terms of asset accumulation. So you're talking about, again, are we a win 50 games every year but never do anything, never get to the finals, or is championship the goal? Those are 2 very different conversations.
I think if you're asking Masai, it's probably championship, but if you're asking MLSE, it might be the 50 games and have the arena packed and get 2 rounds of playoffs.
So I do think that is a point of distinction about what is actually the end goal. If championship's the goal, then I think you have to see the long-term vision of going for somebody in this
But
draft.
you could still want to win 50 games a year. Like, that's kind of what happened to the Raptors the first time they won the title.
Then they made the requisite move.
They were winning games. They were winning the East year after year, and then they had to make a move once they found out it didn't work. So I think getting to that point is crucial, but I just don't think you're going to get there. I don't think that's your floor with these 3 guys currently.
Also, you're not going to start the year tanking right away.
Well, look at that schedule.
You
might.
Yeah.
No, it is a tough,
Unintentional
it is a tough schedule that may suck the life out of the enthusiasm for the team right off the bat. But you're going to put your best foot forward.
Sure.
You're going to give Darko an opportunity to coach these guys up, see what they can do, and honestly, just look at the year with some optimism. They finally have taken a path on where they want to go.
Oh, yeah.
We're not entering the season with, is Pascal Siakam getting traded? Is OG Anunoby getting traded? They've charted a path to build for the future. We may not see the fruits of it for a couple years. And as you said, they do need to get someone good in this upcoming draft. But Whether that's the 4th pick, the 10th pick, I don't know.
Top 5 is good, man.
They're
Watch
not gonna-
Rutger games. Watch Baylor games.
But are
watch
they
Duke
going to be
games.
bad enough? You guys touched on it. The bottom of the East is really bad. Are they going to be bad enough to get to the bottom 5? Probably
the
not,
key.
based off of the talent they have right
But
now.
They should.
This is also like a very important time to point it out.
Yes.
How many years have we been like, oh, the Raptors can't be in the middle. They have to pick one or the other.
Yeah.
Well, they've made a pick.
Yeah.
They've chosen to do something about it. So if you're not cool with the rebuild, it's like, okay, so then what are you asking for then?
Yeah.
You're asking for 40 wins and to be the Chicago Bulls for the next 5 years?
Yep.
No, they're making a choice. Don't forget, you asked for this and they're doing it now. They're committed to it. So you have to see it through. Short-term, long-term thinking. Championships aren't won over a 1-year period. It takes time to build.
So here's my question then. And I know it's whatever. It's another preseason game. The way Scottie looked last night, the way Scottie looked last season, is Scottie Barnes too good that you can't be a bottom 5 team with him as your best player? Because he's not there yet, but we could maybe see that leap this season.
Remains to be seen. Let's see what happens to start this year. Like we've talked about it. Their schedule is a gauntlet. TSN, great slate of games, by the way, up until the new year. So it's like we have that going for us. Man, if the Raptors come out of that, 3, 4, 5 games under 500, you're going into the new year and you're kind of vying for that play-in, then hey, you know what? Maybe you just kind of roll with what you got. I don't see it going that way. Obviously, we'll let the games play out. But if it were up to me, if your goal is to win titles, then you need to add a top 5
Nice
player.
Robert
Thank
Baratheon
you,
drop
thank
there
you.
for the season 1 Thrones head.
Thank you.
Titles.
Watch it on Crave.
Jesus Christ. You need to I think you need to get that guy. And I think you take your medicine early. They've said the words. Even Jakob Poeltl said the words.
Yeah.
Right. And I think, we're talking about trade candidates coming into the season. I think Yak's a potential trade candidate.
Sure.
Bruce Brown's still there.
Yeah.
I kind of like having veterans on the roster to help aid a very young team. But at some point, I think you need to pull the chute. And if you have a crack at a top 5 pick in this draft, you have to take it if your end goal is title.
So then let's just go rapid fire real quick here. FanDuel, the line was 29.5. It got boosted to 30.5.
Interesting.
I'll go to all of us. Over or under 30.5.
I'm a pessimist. I'll say over, only because I don't think it's the right thing for the team going forward, but I think they're going to try and win games.
I think over, but the team should go under.
Yes, exactly.
For the benefit.
I'll take the over just based on the talent they have. And just because the East is so bad at the bottom that it's going to be hard to be in that 25 win zone unless you're really.
Man, we're just drinking.
I thought I was going to be the one zagging saying over, but I also think over. But we talked about this stuff for a couple minutes before we started. That plus 135 play-in number is I would rather bet that than over 30.5 wins.
Sure, and also keep in mind, 31 wins. You're not a good team.
No.
If you win 31 games, we're not saying they're going to be a 500, team pushing into the playoffs, but 31 wins. I mean,
You're just assuming that Raptors
pretty bad.
they're going to beat up on the minnow in the East, like the West. I think.
Well,
has,
and they'll
one or
surprise
two
some
bad
people.
teams.
There'll be a lot of teams, a little tired in Toronto on second night of a back-to-back. And they'll probably be like,
What are you implying, Fab?
They'll be like, it's the Raptors. It'll be it's like those old, those Sunday afternoon games.
Oh, yeah.
The Sunday 1 p.m. The Raps were, they used to kill teams on those. Why, though? Why?
I wonder why.
Interesting.
Toronto, big city.
Now, looking at some markets, the MIP market is something that's it's very intriguing. I know the RJ injury kind of complicates it, but you're getting RJ and Quickley both, I think, 25 to 1 on FanDuel. You're getting Scottie at 30 to 1.
A lot of Raptors.
You
Three Raps
just
in the
bet
top
all
15.
3 of those guys, or like
3 Raps in the top 15. I think a lot of times what you see with MIP, it's usually with a player who gets an increased amount of opportunity but has the talent to step into it. It's usually like a jump in minutes, jump and roll. Some of these players have that. Scottie, if you ask me, actually has the least criteria to match what the track record has been of this award. Okay, I think Quickley is the popular one. I think everybody sees Quickley as the one who has the biggest opportunity to rise up. But I do like RJ. I like RJ. I just like some of the things that you saw in his time that he had with the Raptors last season.
Efficient.
Yeah.
It's the efficiency.
How
stuff.
much are we concerned about RJ's injury going to the season? It doesn't seem like anything major.
The fact that it's a shoulder, it's
shoulders
like
are
whatever.
tricky, though.
Yeah.
No, but
Tricky.
shoulders are tricky.
Shoulders
Those
are
are
tricky.
they can linger
Yeah.
for
Not an
a
ideal
month
start.
or two.
Not an ideal start
Not ideal.
considering how good he played for the Raptors last season.
Dude,
how good he
in that
looked in that
preseason game, he looked
game.
awesome in that first preseason game, and he was hitting threes. Like,
Yeah, if he can maintain his efficiency, Like, that to me is the absolute key. If he can hit over 35% from three, he averaged, 21 points a game last year for the Raptors in 32 games. If he can shoot, like, over 50% from the field, like, if you can do that.
Do you really are the efficiency numbers something that he can realistically duplicate, or was that an outlier last
question.
year?
No. I want to bring that up. Like, this is like stat corner. Two big things that he did on his time with Toronto that give me promise. Number one, in New York, 7% of his shots came from long mid-range. The absolute worst efficiency shot in the NBA. He dropped that down to 1%. 1 out of every 100 shots came from the long mid. That's a choice.
Yeah.
And so that's sustainable. The second thing that I love, can he replicate it? We'll see. More than half of his shots came at the rim with the Raptors. His career is like 42%. So the fact that he was able to scale that up so high, those two things really explain why he got up to 55% from the field. The rim one, I don't know if he can maintain. That takes the defenses will adjust. But him not taking long mid ranges, that's a choice.
Yeah.
And I think that's very easy for him to maintain.
Yeah, and to your point about the award itself, Scottie to me is not a great bet in my opinion because I think he established himself too well last year.
He's an
Made the
all-star.
All-Star.
He's an all-star.
Look at his numbers across the board: 20 points, was it 8-9 rebounds?
Hey, man,
6
there is a scenario in which he could win, but it would require the Raptors to make a
win
massive
games.
leap.
Well, and he would have to jump. I think into
MVP
mid
conversation.
All NBA.
mid 20s in scoring.
And
there.
Wembanyama needs to not exist.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of things in his way.
The room for growth is a little smaller.
Well, I think
for
Wes
him.
had this point when we talked about this earlier, is that usually it's a first-time All-Star, right?
Yes.
And Scottie's already that was last year. So if that could happen with RJ or Quickley, then yeah, maybe it makes
If he
sense.
if he goes like All-Star to All NBA,
Yes.
averages mid-20s, Raptors win or at that 500, then yeah, we're talking about something else entirely. Like if we see this, everything I said before, just throw it out the window. Like, oh, Scottie's that dude. Now you're adding around him, right?
But they're paying him like he is that dude, and I
They
think,
had no choice.
I think I know. Obviously, you
They had no
you
choice.
pay that
They made
contract.
Franz
And he's
Wagner
you know
got
what?
the
He's
same deal.
worth the money. He's the best player in that draft.
I think he's worth. I completely agree with you.
He is.
But I think Raptor fans maybe were blinded with our purple Kool-Aid. But I don't know. I think we all see it with Scottie, and maybe the rest of the league doesn't see it. That he is worth it, and he can make that leap, and that's why I think this year could be not about the rebuild because Scottie might already be too
If
good.
he forces your hand, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
But it's a lot to ask.
But also, this is a very important year for him just because this is the first time the Raptors are entering the season with he's the guy.
The guy.
There's no remnants left of the championship team.
Yes.
It's your show now, and he has to take a step as a leader as well.
Yeah.
And from the things we're hearing, he's doing that. RJ Barrett said the way Scottie's being a leader behind the scenes is very important. So I hope he can do that on and off the court.
Well, even on Media Day too, they asked him what was the biggest change or what was your biggest evolution, and he said communication. He was, and all the players are echoing that same thing. So if he can make that step as a leader too,
And the team is not really like optimized around him yet. You know what I mean? Like,
they're in the works.
They're in
It's
the
in the works.
works.
It's
Like-
looking a little more like a team that should fit around Barnes.
If Grady Dick can shoot the three at a high level, high volume as well, like that's really good. I think, his pick and roll game, his two-man game with like both Jakob Poeltl and Immanuel Quickley as both the ball handler and the screener.
that's what I think. Him and Yak pick and rolls. That's what I'm excited for to see a lot more of this
He
year.
offers you a lot of potential. It's just is the team around him built for him to maximize said potential that leads to wins? I mean, we'll see.
Well, let's talk about Quickley. So Quickley has to fit with Barnes in the two-man game
Has
to
to.
be effective, and on paper it should
Their games can complement
make
each other,
sense.
yeah.
Quickly fire those threes up.
And 10 a game.
10 a
shoot
game.
him.
Can you grow a little bit as a playmaker? He's not an elite playmaker, but can he make those right reads when he has the space to? Can he get to the rim a little more? He does have to settle for that floater a little too much.
Yeah.
He's not like a rim pressure
But
kind
the
of guy.
floater game's actually, I think, a useful tool to have, especially come playoff time, where
course.
teams are so good at
Yeah.
taking away the rim. So you have to kind of
Playoffs?
Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
Yeah.
I mean, like, what are we talking? We're assuming, like, if we're projecting forward,
Plus
Yes,
470 on FanDuel to make the playoffs.
like, it's like that's a thing. It's like I don't mind the floater game. If you have a good floater game, then that's very useful come playoff time because teams are just going to give you that mid range. So I think it's interesting. Yeah, his dynamic with Scottie is the absolute key.
Look, circling back to MIP, talking about these three guys who are in the mix there. What I want to see from IQ, can he take that assertiveness jump? I think that's the big difference. Like, we know the talent's there, but I'm not sure last year he really operated as the alpha. He looked a little bit too tentative. Now, I get it. It's a new team, right? So coming into this
Trying to
year
fit in.
fresh, he's trying to fit in. Now he's been paid. The expectations are on him now. Does he step into that? or does he still kind of look around and like try to figure out what's going on the court? That's the big difference I want to see.
Do you think wins will play a factor in whether he or RJ Barrett can win MIP? I mean, they have the space to explore. They have like potential usage in their side. If the Raptors win, let's say they hit around their number, 30, 31 wins. Is that enough for them to win
Historically,
MIP?
that's not like 30 wins is not.
Yeah, I think it's not enough.
Yeah.
But again, what if their statistical jump is so significant? Fine.
But
right?
then if
Like-
their statistical jump is so significant, then that also probably correlates to more wins. And
Well,
then it's
no,
like,
but there's like a world where
So-
like, or someone else got hurt, or like there's
Yeah.
a reason why that their stats jumped up, but then everyone else on the team went.
I feel like the
way.
voters would look at that.
Yeah, I agree.
Just some criteria for MIP as someone who scours that market quite often.
Fab's just scrolling every morning.
The last five or six winners all made their first All-Star team that season. So that is one benchmark that you can set and say,
lot to ask.
can a guy become an All-Star? Can Quickley do that? RJ? So that's the track record. I think the last guy to not do that was Siakam,
Wow.
who won the MIP. So it's not a hard and fast rule. And once again, the overall criteria for MIP is very Wild West,
Yeah.
man. Anyone is eligible except a rookie.
Like Wembanyama was
right?
the favorite, and he was the first overall pick
Yeah.
last
Yeah.
year. Like
Traditionally, sophomores don't win either. I believe
clear as mud.
Monte Ellis was
Yeah,
the last
last time.
sophomore. That was, what, 15 years ago?
Yeah.
If Quickley has anything going for him, the previous year's winner, they kind of are similar player comps, right? You have Tyrese Maxey stepping into a bigger role. He gets it done. Immanuel Quickley, kind of the same thing.
All right. I would say if you would have checked the pre-podcast odds on FanDuel that we would have gone 15 minutes without Hambone gushing over Jamal Shed.
Finally.
Yeah, it's like,
Come on, man.
So
Yes.
this is your time. Let's ISO ball. Guys, we're going to go. This is 3 out. All of us go to the corners. Just let Hambone operate.
Man, dude's a winner, man. The guy just wins. At Houston, he won. He's won his
Led the
whole career.
NCAA in steals.
He's just tenacious. He kind of fits the mold of like Raptor point guards.
Is there a more Hambone player in Raptors history?
History.
I mean, Kyle Lowry's my guy, but
Yeah.
I could use some more floor slapping from Jamal Sheds, a little more talking. I'd love that. I mean, I'm not on the court with him, but I imagine some of that's going on. He just kind of fits the mold. It's like a good feel-good thing for Raptors fandom over the years. You've been a fan since the Calderon, TJ Ford days. Like you're going
Calder
back,
Ford blog,
even,
shout
like,
it out.
just like young, like small point guards that kind of get into you, that like pull the strings on offense. The Raptors kind of lacking that. They need that point of attack.
It's Raptors
defender.
lineage, man.
Yeah.
Undersized
Van
point
Vliet.
guard to our dogs.
Yes.
This is
Yeah.
this is
Lowry.
what we do in Toronto. Okay?
man. And-
Small point guards who have that dog in them.
And
Like,
Jamal-
listen, this is the 30th anniversary year. Like, you look at the track record of fan favorites. It's all hard hat guys.
Yeah.
So, Shed, look forward to it, man. I love to see it.
Look for a feature like that in one of the Raptors pre-games upcoming, because I kind of I think to me it's just a I want dudes who are good at the point of attack, who are tenacious at the point of attack. I think the Raptors have Jamal Shed, who met him in summer league, great dude, really personable. I think like people are just gushing over how good of a teammate he is, which I also love, because that was similar things we heard about Van Vliet. Not comparing their games, I still think Jamal needs to shoot the three a little better. We'll see if that comes over time, but in terms of like point of attack defense.
Yeah.
Him, Davion Mitchell now, who's a very underrated ad. I think the Raptors, they got a trade.
That
They
was a
finally
great,
won
that was a
one.
great move. They
They
Also,
basically got him for nothing.
well,
Yeah.
the
Shout out
carcass of McDaniels.
yeah.
Shout out one of the best nicknames, Off Night.
Off night, man. Baylor, another winner, another
Yeah.
proven winner.
He's a worthy flyer, right?
Yes.
You can throw at opposing point guards or even like shooting guards, even small forwards. Just get in their shirt, piss them off for like 7 minutes, defend them full court. That's the kind of stuff I love. So yeah, Jamal Shed, Davion Mitchell, like it's good to have that
Mobo. We haven't
identity.
even talked about
Yeah.
Walter. I mean, Walter's he's the first.
Unfortunate, he hasn't played so far in preseason. I know he's also injured, but yeah, like
Walter? Yeah.
Yeah, so they have a lot of like young, intriguing guys.
Mobo.
Mobo is very interesting. We haven't talked about Grady Dick.
Yeah.
Great.
He might be, and I obviously like the three that we discussed before, the most important. But X factor of the season, if Dick is good, that kind of changes the entire the ceiling of a 30-win team. But that changes what their ceiling is and what they could be this year.
Seen his calves?
Are those real or the implants? What? Your calves, bro.
Are you joking?
Dude, his calves. Oh my goodness.
What?
I'm a big calf guy. As
Are
guys
you?
know.
Are you?
Not the Cleveland Cavs, just like the Calvins, like the
Johnny
it's like,
Drama.
Did anyone
Hey,
expect
Byron.
Hambone to say I'm a big cab guy today? Yeah, Wes with the proper Johnny Drama shout out.
Johnny
Dude.
Drama, man.
the Johnny Drama guy. Like, dude, they're huge. So he actually
Are
has
they
more-
implants though?
I
No.
don't think
real?
So they're
They're
real
real.
and they're spectacular. They're spectacular.
Thank God I'm wearing pants.
You do have fat. You've got I would challenge Fab to a calf off, but I'm a bigger guy. It's natural for me. Fab's slim. He's running marathons. Those are tight calves.
We're cracking a lot of jokes about Grady Dick, but if you see more than 0.5 Donald Duck interviews posted, that's a great sign for this team coming up. Dude, Grady's coming off a really good game.
Yeah, he looked unreal last night.
I mean, listen, the last year, people overreacted to his start. He had a really rough couple months, but Darko, good developmental coach. Yep. They gave him a couple weeks off. They said, these are the things we need you to do. Get stronger, adjust to the speed of the game, which in the second half of last year, he looked really good.
Yeah, no, he was great.
The ceiling on Grady Dick isn't a star, but can he be a good starter who can space the floor?
I think the key will also be defensively because he has gotten stronger.
Can he survive?
He's an
That's where the Cavs
overrated
come
athlete.
in, man. That's where the Cavs come in.
But
can he hold his own
He's
defensively?
got good size and he's a good athlete. So figure it out. What rookie is good defensively?
He's wearing cut-off T-shirts now, bro. He's flexing the pipes. He's flexing the pipes, man.
Look at last night's game against Boston, right? Let's assume you're playing Boston in a critical game down the stretch of the season. It's fourth quarter. Grady's on the floor. Is he going to be a mark for Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum? Are they going to try to get a switch on Grady and say time to eat?
Yes.
To me, that's what determines his ceiling.
I think if we're basing it off of his rookie season, this is where rookies make strides and improvement is defensively from year 1 to year 2. And I think he has the tools to make not a leap, but at least be a serviceable guy that the other team isn't attacking.
Again, the reason I'm obsessing over the Cavs is that is he stout enough to hold his own? When a dude drives his shoulder into your chest, are you going to flop backwards or can you hold your own? And if he's doing that defensively, he's not going to be a mark, but can also give you 35% from 3. Do a lot of this. He has high IQ game, in my opinion. I think he knows how to feel the game. I think he's a better passer than we give credit for. He can run off screens. And if he can fire...
Make the hustle plays. He can grab boards.
Plays as well.
He has length going for him, right?
Yeah. 6'7", 6'8".
You can contest, hold your ground. At least just don't make it easy for them. I think he can be a serviceable player.
You said Grady's not going to be a star. I think there's some reality to that, which is great. But I think a good ceiling for him is to be a 3 and D guy.
At the very least.
A 3 and D guy. If he can do that, then your team suddenly fills a really big void, which is left on the team currently.
The D is the key.
Exactly. Always is.
So now I think you guys mentioned Darko. I think Fab said good developmental coach. This is sort of a lame duck year for Darko because if it's not there this year, is Darko out of a job? Like we talked about that rough gauntlet to the start of the season. Is Darko the coach of the Raptors next year?
I wanted to point out one thing on that. Darko, this might be his one and only ever head coaching job.
Well, that's why this year is so important. This is the season.
I felt bad for him last year.
So it circles back to the win total. I don't think Darko's incentivized at all to go downhill.
This season can't be about wins and losses for the Raptors.
Exactly.
So it really depends how it looks. It might not be whether he wins 35 or 25 games. It's does Scottie look better? Does IQ look better?
Have an identity?
Are the rookies developing? Can you coach defense? Because the defense last year was...
D is the key.
I don't even know. Paper mache? What do you want to say?
The worst Raptors defense we've seen in a decade last year.
Now, with that said, you had the G League playing for the team in March and April. So throw some of those numbers
Jordan Nwora ain't walking through that door.
Jordan Nwora, yeah.
I think this year they have better defenders. That's my biggest thing with Darko. I think it'd be unfair if he didn't get another year after this year. Obviously, the caveat being, does it look awful this year? In which case, you probably have to make a move.
But I do worry defensively. Okay, I mean, their upside isn't great. I mean, you have one rim protector.
Yeah.
Aside from Jakob who can protect the net? Barnes. Yeah. Barnes as a help guy, I like.
Free safety.
Hopefully your point of attack defense is a little better with the new guys. The wings are thin, though.
You're asking RJ Barrett and Grady Dick to defend.
Well, I think
other wings.
That's the question with RJ. We talked about obviously the field goal percentage. Can he recreate that? But if he needs to become at least a B plus defender,
he's talking about being an all-star. You got to lock in.
That's the side.
You got to lock in and be decent defensively. Not trying to be a stopper, but.
RJ doesn't have to do anything more offensively to make that leap to all-star level. He needs to get to full-on, just outside of all NBA defense team level to be an all-star. That's what it takes.
Be good. Be average.
Yes. If Darko can coach that up, his strength is player development. That's what he was good at with Memphis, right? I think a lot of guys came out and spoke on behalf of Darko when he got hired. Desmond Bain.
Guys at OKC guys love him.
Yeah, so he has that in his toolkit. Again, to Fab's point, I don't think it do you win 35, 25? How do they look? Are the guys engaged? Can you motivate your dudes game 71 in the regular season? Because these guys are what kind of identity do you play with? I would give them another year. After this year, I mean, obviously based on let's assume everything's average, give him one more year, give him a chance. I think last year was unfair to him.
I think the first month will be a big tell too, because we'll know the direction this team is going after the first month. And if it's really bad, and then they maybe look to move, like I think Yak is your only
Yak and
dude who
Bruce
you
Brown.
could potentially
Bruce
move
Brown.
if you're getting something for him.
Bruce Brown.
Bruce Brown's already gone. Like I'm already like that's like book his plane ticket now.
He bought the whole team cowboy boots,
did.
though. Do you see that? They're all line dancing.
Do you guys know how expensive cowboy boots are?
They are
No.
very
Go,
expensive.
no
Connor,
idea.
bring it up. Bring up an Amazon wish list right now. Like cowboy boots are expensive.
Are they a
man.
sponsor?
Yes, Basketball Island sponsored by Cowboy Boots.
Hold on. Before we wrap, are we putting money down on the Raptors? In what form are we putting money down on the Raptors this year?
You want to
I
go
like
down the line?
the
You wanna go
Fab,
down
the
the
bet
line?
you mentioned. Say that one. That was good.
It was them to finish 8th through 11th, I believe, is plus money on FanDuel.
Okay.
There's a market on FanDuel. They have like specific player averages to average a certain
I
number of
love,
stats.
and you can parlay those. Oh man,
Look, so it's a really good market. They're pretty much one of the only books that offers that type of line. I like Immanuel Quickley at plus money to average over 7 dimes a game.
Wow.
I think that's within reason. Now I get it. Scottie's going to share the floor with him more, so maybe there won't be as many opportunities. But IQ is technically the only floor general on this team. Like shout out to Shed, shout out to Mitchell, but those guys are more like defensive
bit
point of
players,
attacks.
yeah.
Yeah, they're more like defensive stoppers. IQ has a chance to take a floor general leap. 7+ is plus 110.
That's interesting. I think I will take Flyers on the Quickley MIP. I think that's like a reasonable one. Not touching the win total, even though I think we all agree it's the over, but I just kind of want to watch it unfold.
too fishy.
Don't want to put my money behind that, but I like the MIP Flyers.
I'm gonna do RJ MIP. I just love that number. Hopefully, obviously, the health is obviously a concern
sprinkle,
right now.
little sprinkle.
I'll say this though. I think often we all we all agreed that over 30.5 wins.
Grudgingly.
Wait on that. Wait for the first 2 weeks when you see this team maybe go 1-5, 1-6, 2-8 or something, and then get an adjustment.
Would you have the stones?
Sage
to do it?
advice, my good friend.
Well, that's the thing. And I think it's not a matter of do you have the stones. You need to tell yourself at the beginning, regardless of what these eyes see, this is my plan. And when they start bad, I'm going to bet this, barring obviously a major injury or setback.
Shout out to Hein. He did the work for you.
Yeah.
There you go. That's all for us. We'll be back with more other NBA talk. And now, too, if you don't like our ugly faces, you can listen on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Basketball Island. Give us the whole 5-star, like and subscribe, all that stuff.
Pods once a week all year, baby. Let's do it.